welcome to Level 7, time for another edition of the Agents of Fandom podcast. No live show this week, but that doesn't mean we won't be here on your podcast feed, on YouTube, bringing you content week to week, covering some Secret Invasion, but also breaking down the news throughout the week. Joined by my co-host, my good buddy, Adam Blevins. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here with the three of you, especially Ryan and Aubree, a couple of first-time guests. And I wish I was a little bit more excited to talk about the show that we were actually here to talk about. It's been a long time since I was feeling this kind of devoid of anything on a Marvel property. But at least I've got three awesome people here to talk about it with. So I am excited about that.
It's how I was feeling a little bit before the show. I think I'm a little bit higher on it than you, but still feeling a lot of disappointment about certain things. But I was feeling a little just blah, tired, a little achy, wanting to just be in my bed. But then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go hang out with three awesome people, so I'm pretty excited about it anyways. I'm sure that'll perk me up a little bit. Our Agents of Fandom co-host of the week this week is the one of the hosts of our Ticket to Reality podcast, and truly the best damn social media director in the entire industry, Ryan Cortero. How you doing?
I'm good. To echo both of your sentiments, I mean, obviously wish we had better things to talk about, but I'm just happy to be here and talk about, this kind of stuff with you guys.
And don't you worry, we're still going to talk about the good about Secret Invasion 2. There's been some stuff we've thought were lacking, but for those of you that have really been enjoying the show, we got some good stuff to talk about as well. And finally, our guest this week is someone I've been really excited to have on the podcast for a long time. Aubree, you do so many incredible things. You're the director of fandom content at Streamr Entertainment, and also just so much more. Tell us about yourself, and welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So as you know, my name is Aubree. I'm director of fandom content at Streamr Entertainment. So I edit and write and help with coverage for all things fandom. So of course it's natural for me to hang out with you guys. Totally works. On this side, I am a co-host for the YouTube channel and podcast The Convor Call, where we talk about Star Wars. And then I also have a side podcast there called The Stormcrow Song, where we talk a lot about Lord of the Rings. All of those are seasonal when new content comes out. And then on top of that, those are all my side things, but my day job is working in the entertainment industry. And so I get to work with all these really cool people on a lot of really cool projects, top secret projects, not so top secret projects, both in television and film. And it's fun. Right now there's the strikes though, so that's definitely affecting things, but still fun.
It's been one of those things that as I try and find silver linings to all the situations with studios being greedy and creators being forced to strike, from our perspective personally, I feel like there's a lot of us on our team that with just so much growth and grinding lately, we've been ready for a little bit of a slowdown in terms of content. And I feel like that might be one little silver lining of all of this. But I'm happy you brought up the strike, because there's so many of us who want to support the actors, that want to support the writers in their striking efforts to get better pay, better benefits, to make sure their likeness isn't being stolen and used by AI platforms. And you've been one of the very best people I found to follow for information, how to support properly, because there's also been so much misinformation going out there for people as well. So where can people find you on socials? And also, why have you found this important to yourself to kind of take that on and make sure you can be a positive voice in the space?
Yeah, so you can find me at Dreamed of Magic, which is a part of a C.S. Lewis quote, on just everywhere, basically. I think everywhere except for a lot of the, except for TikTok and a lot of the new Twitter clones. I'm not there, only Threads. But this is really important to me because, again, the entertainment business is a part of my career. I first stepped into the entertainment space right after college, and it's just as a small background role in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I only said yes because it was Star Wars. I've never had any sort of proclivity or attraction to acting, but like no one can say no to Star Wars. So I went on, and it was definitely an eye-opening experience. A part of my college degree, my minor was in film studies, so I got to see a lot of what was going on set. And while that was super great and enlightening, so I could know what I was writing about and talking about, there were also some things, of course, because this is on every set, literally every set in Hollywood and everywhere else around the globe, that wasn't not so great, and like nothing can be perfect, right? But talking to a lot of the cast and crew friends that I ended up developing relationships with, I learned of a lot more in the entertainment industry that wasn't great. And so just following along with them, I think it was last year or the year before that, there were some Yahtzee negotiations because their contract was possibly coming up. And so I was very vocal about Yahtzee and helping to raise awareness to their cause, and IATSE's crew members, so like cameras and costumes and things like that. And then now with actors and with writers, that's also very important. On set can be a really grueling space, and as such, it can be really, really dangerous. So there are these protections that are totally needed. The entertainment industry is a space that is kind of antiquated in their workspace and in a lot of their guidelines, because the entertainment industry has been here forever. And of course, these companies don't want to change what has been in place forever. However, with inflation and more pressures and things like streaming, it just becomes a lot harder to do work. So right now, a lot of people are just wanting to get a fair wage, a safe place to work, things like that. And as someone who works with these people every day, it's really important to me.
I think that was wonderfully well said. And honestly, when I like the more I read about these strikes, it reminds me so much of just being a former teacher. And with our like bargaining agreements and trying to negotiate those, I remember like so much of what it really comes down to is, yes, obviously you look at the way things like inflation and how the market and the just entire business has changed. Wages should absolutely be going up as well. But so many of the people that you talk to, it's less about like, I need more money and more about like, I just want the less corners cut that are currently screwing us over. I just want to be feel safe and secure at my job, and I want to be able to do it properly. And it was the same for teaching. There was so much like, I just kind of want to have a class that doesn't have 12 too many kids in it, and I kind of want to be able to just make sure I have the proper books and supplies. And if I have some kids with exceptional learning abilities in the class, it'd be lovely to have an educational assistant every now and then. Just basic things like that, where it comes down to like, it's that type of stuff is as important as the residuals and the actual income and things like that. So important that we continue to raise awareness to this, find ways to support the writers, support the actors who are currently striking. And yeah, definitely make sure to give Aubree a follow, because she is one of the very best people that I've found on Twitter to follow for this kind of stuff so far. It's some very informative threads. Before we start diving into Secret Invasion, I am curious, of the things that you can talk about that you've kind of worked on in the film industry, what are some of like the cooler moments for you personally? Of like, obviously, I got to go on the set of Obi-Wan. Have you ever had any like actors or directors, filmmakers that you got to have like an awestruck moment meeting them? And of course, we got to make sure we get you back on for our Ahsoka episodes too.
Of course, yeah, I'd love to. I guess in regards to working, of course, Obi-Wan was amazing. I remember the first day I was on set. I was in, if you've seen it, I think it's in the last episode. There's that transport that all the Jabim refugees are on, and I'm in that scene. And that was the first scene that we shot. I was on set. I was in my outfit and like a giant yellow headband. I had no idea what was going on. You're just waiting. And I was just sitting there, and I just saw someone like kind of scurry past me, and I looked, and it was little Leia, and like just seeing that, like it didn't even process in my head. I just immediately started tearing up because it was Princess Leia. And then closely following was Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was insane. I am a giant prequel fan. I love, love, love the prequels. I grew up with them. They're like my home. And so at first, I was just awestruck, of course. However, just even like maybe an hour later, when you're on set and they're not filming you specifically, it was just almost kind of like having a family member in the room. You know, how you don't have to like pay a ton of attention to them while they're doing whatever they're doing, and you're just doing whatever you're doing. It was kind of like that, where you're like, oh yeah, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi is right there behind me. But yeah, that's been fun. Non-Star Wars things I've worked on. I'm trying to think what's out. I worked on Wakanda Forever, a small part of that. Trying to think Marvel. I think I worked on a small scene in Secret Invasion, actually, which is fun. Other films, actually, I worked on Oppenheimer and on Barbie, so that'll be fun. But yeah, most productions that are in LA I've worked on, so it's always fun to see it on screen and be able to like fangirl and be like, oh my goodness, that's the scene that I worked on.
I'm so glad you got a chance to dive into these because I've been so excited to have you on the podcast for a while, and I really wanted to give our listeners a bit of a taste of some of the super cool stuff you've done and give a window as to why I've been so excited to do this. So those watching on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave us a nice 5-star review on the podcast platforms, and let's start diving into the aforementioned Secret Invasion. Aubree, I will throw it to you first, and then Adam and Ryan, I'll start bringing you in a lot more here, getting some takes. And actually, no, before we even dive into Secret Invasion, just because we have 3 really fellow people with me who are huge Star Wars fans, huge fans who grew up on the prequels, who love the animation. So here's what I want to ask you. This is the longest my hair has been in a really long time. When it starts to flip, and this is why you got to watch the video as well. That's why you got to watch on YouTube. Sometimes it starts to flip to the side, just as Anakin's does in Revenge of the Sith. Should I finally just get off my ass and actually go to a barbershop and get a haircut, or should I just kind of go all out and for the expos I'm going to this summer, maybe NYCC, maybe Fan Expo Canada, do a full-on Anakin Skywalker cosplay?
Go full Anakin. I mean, yeah.
I'll say it as somebody that has been rocking a buzz cut like this, like since I was, I don't know, 9 years old. More so because like I would love to have luxurious flowing hair like many of you, but unfortunately when I grow my hair out, it just turns into a small, really, really furry little afro. And then it's like wearing a toboggan all the time. And right now, I'm not sure where you're at, but I'm pretty sure wherever it is, it's hot as hell because it's just been miserable everywhere. And so for me, like every 2 weeks, I just shave my head. So if you're going to ask me, I'm always going to advocate for just cut it all off and just go like bald.
Aubree, we're at 1-1. You got to settle this for me because I've been tossing and turning for a while.
I feel like if it's going to be hot, to the cons you're going, rocking long hair and cosplaying might be counterintuitive and make you hotter. I know I've cosplayed before, and it saps it out of you, especially if it's a hot, long day. However, if you don't worry about that, I would say go for it. It really just depends. I don't know. I feel like that's such a non-answer.
I feel like I'm only a couple months away, you know? It's like it'd probably be only another month or 2 of length and I'd be able to have it. So it's tough. I'll keep thinking about it, but it's always in my eyes. I've had enough. But the people don't care about that. They care about Secret Invasion. And so let's dive into this. Aubree, as a fan, what have you thought of the first 5 episodes as a whole so far? And then in comparison, how did you like episode 5?
Yeah, so as a fan, I thought like just the idea at first was fascinating. Nick Fury and like some sort of like spy espionage sort of show with scrolls because they can go and change how they look. I think in school actually I took a number of courses on like paranoia and spy films, and so it's definitely a change of pace from the other media that I like. I can definitely find an appreciation for it, but a lot of times it can be really really slow, and the whole point is for that slow burn to kind of like sneak up on you. First watching it, I feel like I kind of had to wade into the water into that theming. But afterward, like I liked it. There's a lot of really cool creative decisions. The writing, there are points that are just lovely, like last episode with the poem, or even in this episode where there was, I think, when was it? It was Talos's like funeral pyre scene. There were just some great lines that were awesome. But I think overall, with a lot of the Marvel shows, as a viewer, there are some interesting choices and pacing, and like, for example, choices in editing. There was one scene where I was like, why did we get that shot? That's kind of an awkward shot. So I think that Secret Invasion is not exempt from having some awkward, weird choices that I don't necessarily agree with.
I think that was very well said, and that was something I was talking about in the Agents of Fandom group chat the other day. Is I kind of compared it to a Halloween like bite-sized chocolate bar, where I really like this. It's really good, and I'm enjoying it, but I'm an adult and I want more of it. I don't want this baby ass little chocolate bar. I want more. And I kind of realized that the issue that I'm having with this show isn't the show itself. I'm enjoying everything that I'm seeing. It's very much the format. Episodes 3, 4, and 5 specifically, if those are episodes in a 22 episode season, they're great episodes of television because I'm not waiting for more to happen. I'm not needing more of that content. If this is a straight to streaming movie that I'm watching all at once, or even a binge model, I don't want to have the argument about binge versus weekly, what's better. But I think for this specific project, a binge would work a heck of a lot better. It's whether you make it a movie and have it all at once, whether you make more of it, or even same the same 6 episodes or 8 episodes, but make them an hour each, as opposed to these 35-minute ones. I think they would all work a lot better. Adam, we were talking about this a bit off camera. How do you feel about this? Because I feel like the content itself, it's been enjoyable, but it's more the format they're giving it to us in. It really doesn't work for this specific story.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm personally not as light to agree with you in terms of the enjoyment. For whatever reason it is, I've just been having a really tough time these last few episodes. Like I've grown up with the Marvel universe. I've been a fan of this since Iron Man. Like this has been my entire life. I mean, Iron Man came out when I was 11. I grew up with this, and this is like the first time in a long time that I can remember where I'm just not having fun watching the show. I'm ready for the show to be over, and I'm not. They haven't grasped me with any of this, because like another thing, like we were talking about off the air, is that this is like a spy thriller, and I can't really identify any like cool spy stuff going on, and there's also nothing that's like thrilling to me, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know if it was mismarketed or what exactly they did, but like, and in terms of the structure and stuff, they've absolutely, you're correct, they've absolutely got to get away from this 6 episode 30-minute episode like length, because it's right in the middle. Like you said, there's no, if this was a 22 or how, not even necessarily that long, but like 12 or 18 or whatever, if you want to stick with these 25, 30-minute episodes, then you've got to you've got to stretch things out a little bit more. And then but they had a good formula with the first 2 episodes, like 57 and 54 minutes or something like that. And then it's like they're just running the opposite direction. I think most people really enjoyed the first couple of episodes, and then it's like they're like, okay, well, now that we know that works, let's just not do it. It's mind-blowing to me. I don't really understand it, because they had something really good, something really special, and then it seems like they're falling into the same kind of trap that we've seen them fall into before, like structure-wise and storytelling-wise. I don't know. It's very, very frustrating.
It's it feels like a bit like a project that is suffering from like late 90s, early 2000s diet culture. of like, you can still eat your favorite foods, but you just aren't going to eat very much at all. And it's like these small short episodes. Ryan, how has this kind of worked for you, and are you on the same page here? Because there is so much of this show in terms of especially the cast and their individual performances that have just been phenomenal. The chemistry between the chemistry between the characters, the individual performances, it's all so great. But like, how would you prefer specifically, even if you weren't going to change anything about the story, how would you prefer to digest Secret Invasion?
Yeah, that's a good. I don't know if I would want to binge it because a lot of the way that these episodes are structured, it's like, oh, cliffhanger, and then next episode, oh, never mind, like we'll settle that right there and then. So like, I feel like I think more so a movie format would be a lot better, just to kind of get these scenes a lot tighter and feel more weight, because I feel like having this week to week thing, it's like, I mean, yeah, after episode maybe 3, it's like, okay, well, it feels like a chore sometimes to kind of get ahead and watch it, where before I used to like wake up at 3 a.m. EST to like make sure to avoid spoilers and like get it out of the way already. But now like this one just feels, yeah, it's just tough because like you said, the performances are really great. Like I went into this thinking like Emilia Clarke, we all know, most of us know her from Game of Thrones, and like we know the kind of performance she can give. And not to say that she doesn't give one here, but like, I mean, Ben Mendelsohn, Olivia Colman, even Samuel Jackson, like all these people are giving these great performances. Even the actress who plays Vara, it's like, I wasn't expecting the level of acting that they would bring to this. And I enjoy that they get to have that. But when the narrative itself isn't matching up and like these performances have to carry it, it's like, it's kind of hard to balance between, I want to enjoy these performances, but like when the story, the plot itself isn't really moving forward, it's like, it's really hard to like fully enjoy and take it all in.
One of the running jokes that we have on the podcast that Ryan hosts, Ticket to Reality, with one of our other co-hosts, Lee Swift, who was a finalist on season 2 of The Circle on Netflix, is just for no reason, a few times of the podcast, Lee just starts throwing like some major hostility towards Ryan. So I'm going to throw some fake hostility his way here as well. Not all of us, Ryan, are know Emilia Clarke as Daenerys Targaryen. Some of us know her as Kira in the underrated Star Wars movie Solo. It's not bad, people. It's an enjoyable film. Anyways, taking it back to Secret Invasion, I want to stick it with you here, Ryan, because I'm happy that you brought up like potentially watching this in movie format, because I agree, you swap some editing things around, kind of as Aubree said earlier, you deliver this as a movie. I do think a straight to streaming movie would have been maybe better than a theatrical one, and it could have done really well. But these last few episodes, 3, 4, and 5, really to me just felt like a slow moving second act with some great performances. Like 1 and 2, it was act 1. It was a kind of spy thriller setup. Act 2, it slowed us down. It gave us some great character moments, but not a whole lot of plot. And it really feels like they're going, just wait for Act 3, because shit's going down in Act 3. And that is now going to be episode 6 for us here. Where are you at in terms of leading into the finale? Obviously, we won't go full theory mode off the bat, but we start this one with Nick Fury right over Dermot Mulroney telling him, like, do not trust Colonel Rhodes. This was not the Russians. And obviously we see Rhodey and the president having a conversation later, not fully knowing if the president was able to absorb any of what Nick Fury told him. So kind of going into the finale here, how much do you think he got of that, and what do you think is going to happen with the president in the final episode? Are we gonna lose him and start our trampoline to Thunderbolt Ross?
Honestly, yeah, I don't think he heard any of what Nick Fury said. I mean, it would be nice to kind of have that twist of like, oh yeah, he's playing Rhodey, and they're having this own chess match themselves. That would be nice because I feel like the actor just hasn't done much in this president role. I mean, we had President Ellis before, and he got to do a little bit in like Iron Man 3, and more so have a bigger role in Agents of Shield. But like even this president, like he really hasn't done anything substantial. And like knowing that like Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross will like eventually be the president, it's like, okay, well, you're kind of this buffer. It would be interesting if like this is the reason why Thunderbolt Ross steps up. It's like, okay, well, this president's hospitalized and like he can't really do anything, so he kind of is like interim president. I don't know if he'll die. I mean, like he's still bedridden. Like unless they go out and just kill him for some reason, I don't see why they would need to, because they've been playing. I mean, Rhodey has been kind of easing his plan into and like manipulating this president. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to expect in the finale. And I feel like people have talked about like it's a different kind of having no expectations, because it's like it's not exciting that like for at least for me to think of like what's going to happen next. I'm just like, well, if it follows any similar format to the other Marvel shows, it's like, okay, big action sequence and then tease the next thing. That's kind of how I feel like what's going to be next.
I didn't think this one would follow the formula as much as it did, in terms of even like right at the end of episode 5, we get the suit up tease and we're going to see it in its finale in episode 6. But they really are dishing a lot of that type of stuff to us here. Aubree, I want to throw to you, not just about the president stuff. And the one last thing I want to say about the president to keep us moving is the one thing that he does well, and that's what Dermot Mulroney does in every role, is look really reluctantly cool. He doesn't want this burden of being as cool and handsome as he is, but he'll take it. He'll take it because he has no other choice. And I feel like that's him in every role. He's not the same in every role, but he's always reluctantly cool. But Aubree, I want to get your take on kind of the state of New Skrullos and how we see throughout this episode, and obviously a lot right off the beginning when Gravik kills Pagan, he goes Super Skrull mode, Groot right through his chest. At the beginning, we kind of assumed this would be very spycraft and calculated on Gravik's behalf. But what I'm kind of seeing from the Skrulls is they're very divided, and they're kind of in two different sides here, and Gravik is a lot more impulsive of a leader than I thought he was.
Yeah, totally. I think a part of like the Skrulls, as with like most marginalized groups, like in real life, is the fact that you want to be united and you want some sort of justice or some sort of like push for equality, and because you want to be united, though, it's hard when other people have like different ideas as to what that justice and what that unity looks like. And so it seems for me, in the case of New Skrullos, that a lot of the Skrulls are just kind of going along with it because like it seems like the most viable plan. Not necessarily that they actually believe in it and believe in Gravik. However, I think at this point, like Gravik's cracking. Fury has gone and messed with his plan way too much, to the point that he's flailing and doesn't know what to do. And because of that, all the Skrulls are seeing him starting to crack, and ultimately, I think, are realizing that he's not the way to go in regards to saving the Skrulls and finding them a new home.
I think Gravik has a trait that we see in a lot of charismatic but manipulative leaders, and that's like at the beginning, it's we believe in, all of the followers are saying like, we believe in you, Gravik, and he's telling to them, it's like, things are good right now, so it's you don't need to believe in me, you believe in the cause, we're all here for the cause, I'm here to empower you, you've been marginalized, you've been oppressed, you've been put down, well, I'm here to help bring you up and empower you. And as soon as things start going stressful, he doesn't give a damn about the cause anymore. He's saying to them, you're faceless, You're nameless. You're here because of me, so you follow my fucking orders. And he just kind of goes full tilt to them on a total switch. Adam, I want to ask you about his relationship with Rhodey and his Rhodey Skrull specifically, because that's such an interesting one to me. And this was the first time in their phone call conversation we heard the Skrull's name, who is pretending to be Rhodey. It's Rava. And so I'm very interested to see if, like, maybe that was a name we heard somewhere along the way in Captain Marvel, but I missed it. I want to kind of go back and do some research on that one. But what do you think of their relationship specifically? Because whenever they're not talking to each other, they're very, very dismissive. They're very dismissive. Like, Rava doesn't give a fuck about Gravik. He's got his own agenda. What do you make of the two of them?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because when they're on the phone, Rava's pretty much telling him, like, have you lost your damn mind? Like, when he's like the entire plan, and he's just willing to throw, like, Gravik's ready to throw it away. And Rava's like, why? And then he won't tell him anything, or won't tell her anything. And it's just like, I don't know. I really wanted all of that stuff. A lot of these relationships that they're kind of developing on the spot like that, where I believe that's the first time we heard them talk, right? Like on the phone, when Gravik calls her on the phone and stuff. Like, I'm listening to this and I'm like, what exactly is my takeaway? Like, it would have been kind of cool to see, like, I know we couldn't have really seen an interaction beforehand because we didn't know Rhodey was a Skrull until last episode, technically. But everybody's been waiting for that reveal since the first episode because it was so painfully obvious. So would a better way to have done this been to, like, notify us from the beginning, at least the audience, that, like, Rhodey's a Skrull? Like, kind of like they did. Like, Nick Fury knows, but, like, he's the only one, and Nick can't tell anybody. Nobody's going to believe him right now. So, like, it's not public knowledge that Colonel James Rhodes is not actually Colonel James Rhodes. So, like, I feel like there's a way they could have done this where we at least get to see a little bit more of that relationship, because, like, right now it's really hard to give, like, a thorough opinion on what I think the relationship is when it's narrowed down to one phone call. But, like, I feel like there's a way they could have done it better, where even if we knew Rhodey was a Skrull from the beginning, like, to get to see them working together. And, like, how, I mean, what even is that going to be one of our big reveals in the finale? Like, what actually happened to James Rhodes? Because, like, I want to know. Like, we need to know at this point, now that we know Rhodey's a Skrull, like, where the real Rhodey is, if they have the War Machine armor or anything like that. So I feel like we've now got, even just in this one little storyline, so much packed in that we've got to get into the finale, where I'm like, if you guys would have just spaced this out a little bit more, like, throughout the rest of the season, I feel like it would have hit a lot harder.
There is something specific with the writing and their relationship that I do find interesting from kind of a psychology background. And that's, there was a lot of the conversations between Nick Fury and Nick Fury and Rhodey / Rava that didn't really add up. And we were all kind of focused on, like, this doesn't make sense. Obviously, Rhodey's a Skrull. But what I kind of noticed a lot more, not even really while I was watching it, more just while we started talking about it now, but I'm sure we've all had, whether it be a friend or a family member, whatever it is, throughout our lives, somebody just starts losing it on you, and you're sitting there like, this can't be about me, right? Like, I'm here for you, I'm sorry, but, like, damn, why are you... This isn't what happened. Why are you so upset at me? And you find out 3-4 days later that they're like, I am so sorry. I was dealing with something from somebody else, and I took it out on you. And Rava / Rhodey was projecting in that conversation with Nick. It would the reason we get to when we get to this place in power, we got to make sure we don't give it to mediocre men who look like us, kind of thing. That makes a lot more sense with her opinion of Gravik than it does her opinion of Nick Fury. Gravik is being impulsive and is, in her opinion, ruining everything that they've worked for, gaining this status, gaining these important positions, and they're just ready to throw it back into chaos. And Rava's sitting there thinking, no, fuck you. I am the president's right-hand man right now. And obviously isn't going to say that to Gravik, because it's like a parent. If we're getting gaslighted by one of our parents, it's a lot easier. We don't want to take that out on them because we're afraid, right? We're afraid of the repercussions. And like Gravik, when you're worried somebody's going to drop a Groot arm through your chest, you're probably a little afraid of that. So it's easier to project that onto someone else.
I got a quick question for y'all real quick. Something that I was thinking about during this scene is I'm like, obviously that footage of Gravik killing Maria Hill in the beginning, or Fury, technically now the world thinks it was Fury. I was like, why would it not be a great time for Rava to just kill Fury right now? Like the second that information comes out, Rhodey can then come and be like, I apprehended Fury. And then that's like full closure for that. And I'm like, obviously we have an episode left. I understand technically we can't kill Fury because he's got to be in the final episode. But I was like, why is Rava not just killing Fury, right? Is there any reason with like the timing of that, the way that would have worked out? Like, I just don't understand.
Because Gravik still needs to find out where the harvest is.
Oh yeah.
I feel like you can imprison him and then go through all that. And then the last episode. Yeah, but like the last episode could be this whole spy thing of like, okay, Nick Fury has to escape this prison, whatever. Like, I don't know, that would be a nice sequence.
It's one of those things though that it's like I'm kind of assuming you're looking at Nick Fury like there's no information I can torture out of him when he's sitting in a cell. I need him to go get it, and then I'm gonna take it from him, kind of like we see at the end of the episode there. But before we talk too much about the harvest, Aubree, I want to throw this back to you and talk about my favorite part of this episode, Sonya Fallsworth, Olivia Colman. And that's kind of her performance is one of the reasons that gave me that chocolate bar analogy of just like the diet culture analogy of I want more of this. Stop teasing me, because she's so incredible, but so underused.
Totally. I love Olivia Colman. I think I'm actually more of a recent fan of hers. I think the first thing I saw her in was The Crown, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's great. And so it's so fun to see that she always chooses like the coolest projects to be in, and they're always so different. And so I remember at first when she was announced for this, I was like, okay, like interesting choice. Let's see how this goes. I feel like she's like a really great actress and can do some artsy stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how she fares in Marvel. Kind of like, I don't know, like Harrison Ford a little bit, where I was shocked that he was going to be in Marvel as well. But her performance is just, again, amazing. And I think a lot of times she does the things that in my head, I'm like, oh, I wish that like the person on screen had done this. And while it's kind of a little bit impulsive but calculated, it's cool to see her like taking risks. And again, like maybe morally they're not great, like just shooting a random person in the hand hoping that there'll be a scroll. But like again, her performance is great, and yeah, it leaves a lot more to be desired. And I truly hope that this won't be the last we see her. It would suck if this is the only time we see her, like if she ends up a scroll or she dies or something. I would be very, very sad if we just got like that little bite of chocolate.
This is like just me putting imaginary pieces together that may or may not exist, but like we saw the budget was released for what Secret Invasion was, and it's $211 million, and everybody was like, what the hell? Why? No wonder these like, why is the studio's main tactic in the strike just showing to everybody how poorly they manage money? Just saying you have money, but you're terrible with it. That's not a good reason not to pay the creators. But anyways, that's kind of something that I almost like a conspiracy brain going a little bit is what if what if this budget to Secret Invasion was so heavily 100 million of that plus is the cast, and it is not just for stuff they filmed for Secret Invasion, it's also for stuff they filmed in the Marvels, and we have yet to see it. And I'm kind of just hoping that this could, like, Gaia and Sonya, Emilia Clarke and Olivia Colman, I'm really hoping that they will end up being major players in the Marvels and actually like big supporting members of the cast in that movie, and we just don't know about it yet. That's something I'm hoping for, and that does lead me to a theory that I have as well, because the next thing I want to talk about, and Ryan, I'll throw this one to you, is Gaia and Vara and their kind of interaction with each other. Obviously, they had the very cool geez, Vara and Rava. Rava is the roadie's girl, and Vara is Nick Fury's wife. That gets confusing. Same letters, just different variations. But Guy and Rava, they're in her house. They obviously have the really cool spy stuff. That was awesome. The jump scare freaked me out with I knew there was about to be a bullet flying, and it still caught me off guard. And then seeing them like go into the basement and grab the gear, that to me was a lot of fun. What do you kind of hope to see from them in the future? Because a theory I have is a lot of their conversation was about the love between Fury and Vara, and obviously that was relating to Gaia and her grief and trying to bury her father and understand all of that. And they have a lot of shared experiences between the two of them, but they also talked a lot about love and appreciating, did he want to see you in your own skin? Did he love you in your own skin? And it got me thinking, what if in the Marvels, Gaia is still around, we're seeing more of Gaia, and we do get a little bit of a love story for her, and that's a big portion of it, is it's with somebody who is not a Skrull. And wow, would that be a fun thing, I think, if it was with Monica Rambeau. And we get a little bit of like full circle of don't ever change your eyes when they were little kids, of like they were intrigued with each other as children, and then all of a sudden they see each other as adults again and hit it off. I think that would be so cool.
Yes, I mean, yeah, of course. Like I would love to see that, because that's a relationship, like, I think that, or not even romantically, but like even just that friendship of them growing up with that, like it'd be nice to see how that transpired. I mean, like we have like little hints, like with how Monica feels about Carol in the future, but like it'd be interesting to see what this relationship with Monica and the Skrulls are like, because obviously she must have grown up around them in some sense, but I would hope to see that further explored in the Marvels, if not somewhere else down the line. As for Vara, honestly, like it's hard to think she will come out of this series and show up in anything else. I don't, unless it's like something Nick Fury centric again. And other than that, maybe in the Marvels, but in terms of what we've seen of her so far, like I don't know what else she can really provide in narratively. And speaking of this like action sequence in the house, we saw Vara have to go through so much to like go to the safety deposit box to get one gun. And then she has all these guns in the house for, obviously for protection. But I'm like, what? I mean, I'm sure she wasn't going to shoot like her husband with a shotgun and everything, but like, we saw her have pistols in this bag and everything. I'm like, why did we have to go through all this trouble? It's like one of those things. I'm like, did they forget like that was the whole thing? Like, or did she have to? Like, I don't understand why she had to go through all this. Like, that was like a padded time of like seeing her go through the hallway, do the secure. Like, it was a beautiful looking scene, but it was just like, why? Now looking back, it's like, why did we have to do this?
Aubree, did you are we missing something, or is that is there some foreshadowing, something specific about that gun, or is that one of the maybe editing things that you were thinking of like, we got only 35 minutes, why are we spending so much time on this, and then it comes back and it doesn't even matter later?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's really hard to like discern what is and isn't purposeful. I mean, I think like the editing thing that was glaring for me was after the fight in the kitchen, and they like defeat all the Skrulls that were coming after them. They just kind of look at one another, and then they do this weird shot where it's like across the island, like the kitchen island, and you just see like Emilia Clarke, and she's just standing there, and it's like she's gonna say something, she's not exactly doing anything, and then it cut to something else. And that's when I was like, that was a weird, interesting, like artistic choice. But yeah, I think in regards to the gun, I don't know, because that sort of editing, like, hopefully it means something.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it's like, yeah, the plot stuff, I kind of worded that poorly. The plot stuff's not the editing as much of like why are we getting certain of these scenes that seem so crucial? And then we come back and it's like, and I do have one of these that I swear that I want to specifically touch on at the end of the episode, that I swear, if this is an aerospace engineer from WandaVision situation where it's like, you pointed at her face and she said, like, why was this throwaway dialogue? It looks so real. I have one of those that I think is going to be a major thing, but if it ends up just being nothing, I'm going to be so upset, because just like they pan the camera in, it's like, oh no, that had to be important foreshadowing. But Adam, I want to throw this to you, because this was to me, a beautifully orchestrated cameo. And this is one of the parts I love about the MCU, is it's not just cameos, throw in different characters from different things. It's, wow, this totally makes sense, and I did not see it coming, and it's from something a long time ago, and they really just wrap that bow perfectly. And that's Black Widow's buddy from Black Widow. It's Nat's buddy from Black Widow, who was finding her all her gear, getting her everywhere, coming to help out Nick Fury, getting him a plane and a little extra spycraft gear as well.
Yeah, Mason, I believe his name is. It was really, really cool to see him. Like, you hit that perfectly. That's like, these are the kind of cameos that I enjoy. That's like a gift to people that have been watching for like a while. Like, you don't have to bring in some crazy Avenger, like a huge Avenger, to help win this fight, but just somebody that we've seen before. Like, that's why we all fell in love with the MCU in the first place, is like the connectivity and everything. We're not just watching a bunch of random movies like that are in the same order that people are saying like, yeah, it's all in the same universe, but then we don't have any evidence for it. Like, other universes kind of tried to do. So that's like, even just these little things, they're like a real gift. And that kind of stuff was handled well, like, especially when it makes sense. Like you said, it makes perfect sense that he's got all these contacts that he can help out. I mean, that was a big plot line in Black Widow, is that he couldn't give them like he got them a Quinjet when he had some time, but if not, he was only able to get them like that little ragtag helicopter or whatever. So it's like, it would have been kind of cool. I don't know if, I don't feel like I don't remember seeing Fury reach out to him at any point, or like maybe in the past. I don't know if that might have been something that got cut out or whatever, but it would have been kind of cool to see that like an episode or two ago. And then I'm not complaining. I know this is one of those things where I'm like, I'm talking about how good it is, and then I immediately fall back, but it would have been better if I hate to do that, but I'm like, it would have been cool if it's like an episode or two ago, he was like requesting something, and then like, hey, I wonder who that is. And then we see him today, and it's like, oh, this guy. Like, but I'm happy with what we got. Like, with that case, like, it works perfectly. It fits in well. And I love him. He's awesome.
They gave us one thing, but it would have to be a very eagle-eyed person to notice it, because it wasn't explicit. It was more in the specific wordings of the dialogue, where Nick's talking about how he needs help, but he says something about, like, I don't have any. Somebody says something to him. You don't have any friends you can call, or I'm not going to call my friends for this one. And in Black Widow, Mason has a very specific line where he says to Nat, like, she goes, well, you're my friend. And he goes like, no, I'm not your friend. I'm the guy who people call when they don't have any friends. And so it was the very specific of Fury going like, I have no friends to call. And him going from movies past going, I'm the guy people call when they don't have any friends. And so a very kind of, explicit, not implicit, explicit, I don't know, words are hard, but very kind of cool little thing that they mixed in there as well. Ryan, we talked a little bit about the foreshadowing, or like the formula that they have been using, and it was wild to me that we get to actually see Nick full on. Nick doesn't have a suit, but he's suiting up, he's throwing on that trench coat, he's putting on his eye patch back. It was kind of ridiculous, but I enjoyed it. I don't care.
It just felt weird that he had. I mean, like, when Sonya's like, "Oh, you just have these all over the world," and like that was nice, because one of the theories when the first trailer came out was like, this is not the same gravestone that he had in Winter Soldier, and so now we know the answer to that. But it's like, he just has an eye patch everywhere, like, just for what? Like, I don't understand why. It just felt so weird that they focused on it too. I'm like, okay, oh sure, like, at least we don't get that that final suit reveal at the end of the series. But it's like, it just felt very like, okay, yeah, all right, this is his super suit, I guess. Let's let him have his moment. But yeah, it was an interesting thing. And speaking to this formula, one of the things I was like feeling right when he suited up, I'm like, all right, let's go. And then credits. I was like, God damn it! Like, we're right here. Like, we're like, even with a short runtime, I was like, okay, like, I think we're actually building up to something, and then no, you'll have all of it in the finale. And like as great as that is, like okay, we have a explosive finale. It kind of just that's the kind of issue I have with the show, with it ending right where it's getting good, and like it's like beginning of the previous episode like establishes that, and then the next
You
episode
need a bigger chocolate bar.
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I'm just like, I'm like savoring it, and then I realize, oh shit, I'm done. Like, or like I have a bag of M&Ms, and I'm like, oh, this is so good, and then you're like really enjoying it, and you're like, oh fuck, it's empty. Like now I have to buy another one. So then yeah, like that's me. I have to tune in next week, and we're gonna finally be done. But it's like, I hope. I mean, I they don't usually end on like such big cliffhangers in the finale, anyways. But who knows? I would hope that won't be the case. Obviously, this most likely won't get a season 2, but I just hope that we don't have this like lingering thing revealed at the end of the finale that we'll have to wait for in the Marvels or Armor Wars whenever that comes out, because we still don't have a date for that movie.
If that, with all the things they're going to shuffle, who knows what that'll be anymore. Who knows if we get more special presentations, no more series, less series, binge mode. We don't, who knows. But Aubree kind of like, there's that moment in Obi-Wan where he goes back to his lightsabers and he grabs them, and he hasn't seen these things in a long time, but it's a freaking lightsaber. So it's something that's big, it's going to help him in this journey. He's not fighting Darth Vader without a lightsaber. I feel like they were trying to go with something similar for Nick Fury, but like when it's an eye patch and a pistol and a trench coat, it doesn't have that same effect.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why it felt like the ending was like such an abrupt ending, because they wanted it to be this big moment that would be a cliffhanger, but in actuality, again, it's just a little eye patch and a trench coat and a gun, which isn't all that like interesting, and so it just felt a little bit anticlimactic. I wish it had been like that level and had some oomph going into the finale, but it was kind of lacking that oomph a little bit.
I want to go into theory mode for the finale, because it really does feel like over the last few episodes they've almost been saying like, wait for the finale, something's big happening. We're gonna just have really fun chats, but wait for the finale because something big's happening. And I thought we were gonna get a little more in episode 5. I thought it was gonna be like an hour-long finale and we'd get more. But I want to go into theory mode about maybe what we think we can expect for the finale, or not expect, but hope for. And so I want to throw this one to everybody. And that one, there's a few things specifically that I want to touch on and get my theories off here. I'm gonna hit the mark clip button so I know when we can start looking for theories. But one, and this is how WandaVision ended, and I talked about this a lot on the pod already. Is it? We tweeted it out on our Twitter today from the EW article. This, like, the Marvels is going to directly follow this. The Marvels is going to directly follow Secret Invasion. Well, we know Monica Rambeau is a heavy part of the Marvels, and where did we see her last? WandaVision going up to space with a Skrull. With all the things like the Harvest and them trying to change people into Super Skrulls, what I'm kind of hoping happens here is Fury wasn't the friend that was searching for Monica Rambeau. It was just the Skrulls realized she had some powers, and so Gravik ordered her to get captured so that they could start doing some experiments on her to try and get her powers. And so while Fury is going to look for Everett Ross and Rhodey and try and figure out where they are so he can release them, he also finds Monica Rambeau, and she uses her cool powers, fuck shit up, kills Gravik, leads us into the Marvels. That's kind of theory number one for me. But the other one that was specific to this episode, and that's that I was hoping this isn't the aerospace engineer moment, is one of the things that Mason hands Nick Fury. He's not just getting him in the plane, he's not just flying him somewhere, but he also hands him a Widow's Veil. And Fury uses that Widow's Veil, much like we saw in Winter Soldier that Nat was using, to change his face, get into Finland, get through customs, etc. And there's a moment in the car where Nick and Sonya they say something very specific, and Sonya's like, billions of dollars into this technology, and that's all the Widow's Veil can do. And he goes, well, no, this isn't the newer version, or this isn't the main version. This is just like a taste. That had to be for something. Something is not as it seems, and that had to be for a reason. And so my theory is it's got to be Maria. Maria Hill is not dead. Maybe Maria's been Sonya the whole time and Sonya died. Maybe that was just somebody random. I don't know. But the Widow's Veil will be used to show that Maria has been alive this whole time. Maybe she's been one of the Skrull. Maybe the Widow's Veil had her with a Skrull face on the whole time, and so she's been chilling at New Skrullos. But I think the Widow's Veil will be used for Maria Hill, and the only way, and because one, we still don't know who is he calling on the phone at the end of that episode. That's the biggest thing that spawned this theory for me, is he's going, all right, it's go time. He's bringing somebody in to tell them, all right, let's go do the final act of our movie. And so I think Maria Hill with the Widow's Veil sneaking around somewhere would make the most sense. And if it's not that, if that really is an aerospace engineer thing, the only thing that will satisfy me is if he's bringing in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If I'm wrong on both my Maria Rambeau theories and my Maria Hill theories, or my Monica Rambeau and my Maria Hill theories, sorry, the only thing that'll satisfy me will be the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Aubree, what do you think of the theories? Who do you think he was calling on the phone?
I do think it was either Monica or Maria. And that was only after I saw everyone talking about, I wonder who he was calling on the phone. But before that, honestly, when I was watching, I thought he was just calling back Gravik and being like, okay, it's on. But yeah, I think it would be really cool to have Maria or Monica, specifically Monica, because we're going into the Marvels. At the end of WandaVision, we saw her talking to a Skrull. We know something's up and that she's connected somehow, and she is the connective tissue to like WandaVision and this show and the Marvels. It's somehow, so I think that's like the only thing that would make like a lot of sense. However, if they wanted some sort of surprise, I think Maria Hill would definitely be the way to go.
Adam, who do you think she was talking to on the phone? Do you have any big theories for the last episode? I feel like you're probably in the camp just with like how your expectations have just been like shot down. You're probably like, it was just fucking Gravik. It was nothing.
So, two things. Well, it's funny you say that because that is where I'm at, but it's not just because it's nothing. I actually have an idea for what I think is going to happen. So I believe his exact words are like, it's time to end this or something like that, right? And everybody's been speculating for this entire series, like, where did everything go so bad with Gravik and Fury? I think he was talking to Fury, and I think at the beginning of next episode, they're going to be on the way to somewhere, and Sonya's going to say, like, how did you, like, she heard the phone call or whatever, and it's going to be like, how do you know where to go? And it's going to be like, there's only one place that we both know about where to go. And then we're going to get a flashback to wherever this place is that something bad went between them. Yeah. And that's where they're going to go again. That's my theory, is that he was talking to Gravik, and that's kind of how things are going to play out. As far as the Maria Hill thing, I'm not going to go on another Gaia rant like I've done the last 2 weeks. But if they bring back Maria Hill for the finale, I love Maria Hill. I'm going to be furious if her only purpose in this entire season was to kill her in the beginning just to like piss off Nick Fury. And then you bring her back at the end just to help Nick Fury. I mean, maybe you can say, like, you can use the reasoning that, like, she was helping all along as Sonya or something like that. If you do that, I guess it's okay. But then I'm like, Maria Hill's an awesome character that we haven't gotten to see enough of, like, since we first saw her in the Avengers for the first time. And everybody was hoping this would be the chance to get to see her, like, work with Fury. There's plenty of room in this series for her to be working with Fury. Like, there's no, I guess the lone wolf idea, like Fury has to be by himself or whatever. She could have easily been right beside him. And I think this would have been a better series because of it. Like, if that was the case, if they bring her back in the finale, like, I'd be glad that she's not dead, because her death, I'm not going to say like, oh, that takes any meaning away from her death, because her death didn't mean anything to me anyway. I was just pissed off. Like if we see her again and she just pops up, I'm definitely going to be frustrated. Like, even though inevitably I'll be happy, but I just don't feel like that'll serve this. I don't personally feel like that'll serve the story in a way that would satisfy me.
It'll need a reason. Like, if it's literally
Yeah.
just, this was pretend and she's been waiting for the final battle, like, that will be stupid. But it's kind of like, as you mentioned, like, if they show, like, she helped cause this and she helped cause this, and this is, they've actually been 2 steps ahead since episode 2 because they pulled this fast one on Gravik, and she's been doing this ever since. They'd have to do a very good job of articulating that to make it worthwhile. Ryan, who do you think she was calling on the phone?
Yeah, I think I'm in the boat of like, I think it's just him calling Gravik like, yeah, let's finish this. I mean, to lend to your theory though, and then I'll play with it. We still have that scene in the trailer where Nick Fury's like, Calvary's coming. I mean, if you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you know the Calvary refers to Belinda May, so that could be something.
Don't.
I mean, and hey, and in that scene where he's like, the Calvary's coming, it's in that snowy environment, so that's something. It'd be interesting to see that, and like, to even fully wrap this up, it's like, if we do get Maria Hill back, and if they go the route of like, this is what she was doing behind the scenes, this is why she had to fake her death to get to this point. It would be like that moment in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they explain how Nick Fury gets the helicarrier at the end of Age of Ultron. Like, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were the ones who helped him. They were the ones who even found where Loki's scepter was in Hydra. So it's like, that would be great. It would really wrap things up. And even if they don't bring any Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast members back, like, that would be a nice little callback to that kind of moment where, like, these are the real life heroes who have no superpowers, but look at how much involvement they have behind the scenes that we've never saw. So yeah, I mean, I would like to believe that they would come back, and to Aubree's point, I think Monica would be the one that would fit the most to appear in the finale, because we saw Nick Fury personally was the one who asked for her at the end of WandaVision. She's going to be in the Marvels. They're working together already. They have a relationship. It would be nice to kind of bridge that gap of like, okay, this is what their work relationship is like before we see her off with, Carol and Kamala. So as much as I've been disappointed by the show, I think not that would save it, and that's not what I need, but like, it'd be nice to see something like that in the finale.
Trailers are trailers. It's whatever. You know what I mean? Like, the Hulk was in the Infinity War trailer, and then he was not even in the movie after the first 10 minutes. But if he says the word cavalry in this final episode and Melinda May does not show up, I will riot. I will. Not only will I be there on the picket line in Hollywood with the actors, I'm going to be burning the studio fucking down. If they put the word cavalry in there and Melinda May doesn't show up, like, I will be losing my shit. But having for me, honestly, like, what that would be is like, that would be like at the level of like, not quite Toby and Andrew showing up in No Way Home. You know what I mean? But like, one notch down. Like, I'd be yelling at my screen and screaming and freaking out. And I know so many of us would be doing the same. Not Adam, because he doesn't give a shit. But a lot of the others of us will be. We've already been going here for an hour. I was trying to rifle through the things quick. Each of my points, I wasn't asking to everybody. I was just asking one person and then passing it to the next one. But we've still been going for an hour, and I don't want to just get everybody's hopes up for a game and then not play it. So I want to just rifle through it really quick. And so what inspired me to do this is, we're obviously talking Marvel stuff, but also Ryan is the host of Ticket to Reality podcast alongside Emma Lee on the Agents of Fandom podcast network, and it's talking about reality TV. One of the shows that's going to be coming up that's my favorite reality TV shows is Love Island. the premise of Love Island is you have a bunch of different beautiful people. They're in a villa together. They're all single, and they have to pair up with each other, complete challenges, and get kicked off. And so what I want from each of us is maybe we can each just kind of pick two people, maybe two different heroes, or a hero and a villain, a male hero, a female hero, whatever you want to do, whatever floats your boat. We can each pick two, and let's make a villa of what would make good superhero reality television. Who would be a good? Who would you want to see on Marvel Love Island? Of pretending these characters were real, they were themselves, and they were going to this villa together to find love. Who would you want to see out there? For me, the first person I'd like to nominate, I'll do two. I'll go right off the bat, and this is in the Ticket to Reality spirit. I want to shout out Emma because I know these would be her two picks, but I also feel like they would be so perfect for the villa. And it's number one. We're going with Matt Murdock, Daredevil. Why? Because I'm not slut shaming. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a great thing. But Matt Murdock is the biggest slut in Marvel. And so I want him in that villa. I want him causing chaos. I want somebody like that looks like Thor sitting there being like doing the Foggy joke, you know? How does he know all these women are beautiful? How do you always know? I want something like that. And so my first pick is Matt Murdock. Number two, I'm going with Jen Walters. I'm going with She-Hulk. Whether she wants to go in there as Jen or go out in there as She-Hulk, I think she would make a great, fun addition. She knows how to party. She's looking for love. And Jen Walters and Matt Murdock are my two nominations. Aubree, you got any people in mind? And if not, anybody, feel free to chime in with your noms.
Let me think. Let's say I think Loki would cause a lot of chaos.
Ooh.
Oh,
And like
yes.
if we're
That's a
not even
good
just
pick.
thinking of like fans wanting to ship people, but in like a production casting side, like wanting to just have drama, like Loki would be perfect because he could pretend to be anyone. He likes discord, and he would just decide to cause dramas just because it amuses him. So I think that would be perfect. And then I'm trying to
Wonderful
think-
suggestion. Not one, because of everything you just said, but two, dating shows are always so stupidly heteronormative, and we need to get a bi character in there. So I love it. Loki's perfect.
Totally, he'd confuse everyone. And then I'm trying to think.
I'm picturing like one of those conversations, and you know, where two people are trying to have a heart to heart, where it's like, I want to get to know you, like who are you, who is Loki, and him just being like, well, I can be whoever you want to be, and switching to a woman, switching to a man, and then just like kind of being all these different things. It's perfect.
Totally. Oh my goodness. Trying to think who else. Maybe. Oh my gosh, it's been a while, but Ben Barnes' character from Punisher.
Ooh, got a little Jigsaw in there. I'm game for Ben Barnes and anything, so I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally,
he's
the people would be like, "Let's fix him."
Yeah,
fix him.
exactly. Everyone would want to fix him, and that would just be disastrous. And then he's also like, sometimes he has amnesia, sometimes he's just psychotic and crazy. So again, I think that would make for wonderful television.
Nice.
Amazing stuff. Adam, who you got? We need some women in the villa.
Oh, well, thank you for setting me up. As my friend, the one pick that I was confident about was a man. So
Okay,
I'm glad you led me right.
Heteronormative. Most of these characters would probably swing both ways, especially if they had a difference in them.
I fully expect my character that I'm about to name to swing both ways, because I'm picking Moon Knight, Stephen Grant, Mark Spector, Jake Locke, because then you don't know which morning you wake up. You don't know which personality you're getting for that day. Maybe different personalities are attracted to different people in the house. Or you said you pair up and all that kind of stuff. I'm not familiar with Love Island, so you guys have to excuse me. But I'm like, I was just relieved you didn't call on me first. Because when you told us in the beginning this was going to be an easy game, you're like, oh, you guys will come up with these answers in an instant. And then you said this, and my mind just started going a million miles an hour. I'm like, oh, I can't think of anybody. But I guess I'll take Moon Knight, and my original two picks were going to be Sam and Bucky. But like, because I was thinking, we see them in their own show growing increasingly tired of each other as they obviously they kind of find this bond, this relationship, but like growing increasingly tired of each other as they go along. I'm like seeing them have to be in a house full of other people, especially Sam. I do not think Sam would be one to deal with people's bullshit at all in one big. Either one of them, but like.
I'd love to see Bucky just because you got all these people like you got your Lokis in there, stuff like that. Then you just got Bucky, right? Who's just he's tired of this shit, but like he's trying to get back in the game. He's trying to find a dance partner. He's trying to be old Bucky from the 1940s, 1950s. He's not trying to be this old man anymore. So he's trying to dip his toes back in, but he doesn't know the dating customs. So I think that would make for some pretty great television as well. Ryan, who do you got for us? You're the expert, so that's why you're going last. You got a smaller the easy ones have been taken.
I think my obvious choice is Captain Marvel. I think she will be like the person that everyone's going to be vying for. That there's always usually that person like, oh, all these men and women can go after her, and she'd be like not the prize, not to do that, but like she'd be the one that everyone is most attracted to, and yeah, honestly, she's just here for a good time, like let her have her fun, and I'd love to see that kind of dynamic in the household. Speaking to the Bucky thing, it'd be funny to like all these people like asking him weird questions about his arm, like. Can you feel like? Do you feel it? Like, because there's always those weird conversations they have in Love Island. So it'd be stuff like that. Another one I want to put up is Star-Lord. I think we need a himbo in the house, like one of those just dumb people who just like they say the most random things, and I feel like that's Star-Lord. Like, not to spoil Guardians, but like we saw him like kind of put the moves on different people, so it'd be nice to see him put out that effort and like no one is like entertaining it at all. I think
no one reciprocates. He's the person that like comes in and is like, I'm hot. I don't need a personality. And then it's like, oh shit, everybody's hot too. And nobody is interested in them. I love that. That's
Star-Lord. Imagine Star-Lord and then new Gamora, and he has to watch like all these people pining over Gamora and her fault or somebody else. My God. And just nothing he can do about it. Her just completely not interested in him. Oh, that'd be great.
He's seeing Matt Murdock just absolutely
yes,
Gamora. Just absolutely like doing everything he needs to do, whining and dining, sweet talking, and he's just pissed.
He would be the one to be like, oh Matt, like you literally can't see. How can you tell like that she's beautiful? Yeah, that's Star-Lord to a T.
Like it'd be perfect. It would be such great television. I'd throw in a little give me a little Emma Frost. Give me a little Mystique, either Rebecca or J-Law, whichever one you want. Both of them would be great in there, I think, as well. But I think that'd be a really fun television show. Whether we should turn this into a comic strip, something like that, because I think that would be some really, really great entertainment. But we've gone well over an hour, so I want to get us out of here. We're going to be back for a live show next week, talking more Secret Invasion, as well as getting us hyped up for the upcoming things like Blue Beetle, Ahsoka coming up in August, and we're also going to have lots of Barbenheimer content. So check out agentsfandom.com, check out the Fandom Academy podcast, Listen 3000, the aforementioned Ticket to Reality, Cinema Sibs, and all the great shows we have on the Agents of Fandom network. We got so much great stuff popping on YouTube right now. Damon recently just put up an interview with Kelly Thompson from the Comic Corner, and I won't spoil in case it doesn't happen, but we're like, shout out to our guy Carlos, one of our fellow agents, who is working to cook up like maybe the most exciting guest we have ever had on the podcast. We're just super hopeful that this is going to be able to make it work. So stay tuned, because we have really big things coming. Aubree, I know you shouted out your socials earlier, but I want to make sure we get them in again, just in case people forgot, so they can go in there, follow now. But also, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an absolute blast.
Yeah, thank you. I've had so much fun. You can find me at Dreamed of Magic on basically all social media sites. You can find my writing on Streamr Entertainment, and then you can also find me talking seasonally about Star Wars and Lord of the Rings on the Comlore Call.
Awesome, amazing stuff. So make sure to check those pods out. On behalf of my fellow agents, Ryan and Adam and Ruben, who popped in halfway through the shows and made a little cameo behind the scenes, always doing amazing work. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this week, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Peace.